Hey, aloha offline sharks. How we doing, everybody? Welcome to the Friday Aloha Marketing Jam session. I'm Tom Gaddis, my business partner, Nick Ponte, on the call as well. We are excited to be here. We have a great show. I mean, when do we not have a great show lined up? But we have a great show lined up today. We're going to talk about how to grow your business even when you're broke. You guys are going to love this. We're going to share a lot of resources, some things. We'll take questions. It's going to be an amazing episode. I think with that, I'm going to tee up the intro, and we will see you on the other side in just a minute.
Are you ready for the fastest 60 minutes of local marketing strategy, tactics, tips, and fun on planet Earth? It's now time. The moment you've been waiting for. After 167 agonizing hours, they've returned. Broadcasting live from their island retreats, smack dab in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and now back for a brand new Sharks Live show. It's your hosts, the Offline Sharks, Tom Gaddis and Nick Ponte.
Well, listen to that crowd out there. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Yeah, we're excited to be here. I'm glad I made it here today, Nick. So yesterday, I came home, went upstairs to Miranda called me and she's like, "Yeah, I saw some water on the kitchen room floor. I cleaned it up, but when you go home, I don't know if it's something's leaking or if we spilled something." So I came home, no water on the kitchen floor. So I'm like, "Oh, the kids spilled something." Go upstairs, take a shower. Come down to head out the door, go to walk in front of my sink, slip because there's so much water on the floor, like almost bashed my head open, like caught myself on the counters, was like, what the heck? I looked down, there's just like water everywhere. I'm like, this wasn't here before. And I just see this drip fall from the ceiling, like right in front of my eyes to the floor. And I look up and it's like the ceiling is leaking, right? So something in the shower is leaking through the ceiling. So
oh, wow.
I had to wrangle up some people to come and take a look. And so they're supposed to be coming to fix it, hopefully beginning of next week.
I'm glad you're all right. Dorn says, wake up, Richard.
Yeah, it was some craziness. But, you know, hey, always fun to handle that kind of stuff when you have 1,000 things going on, right?
Yeah. Good. Richard said his hangover is 110%. Richard. Sorry, man. It sucks.
What you need, Richard, is a Bloody Mary. That's what you need.
Yeah, there you go. That'll help you out. You know, yeah, it's crazy. You know, they do those like IV bag things for people now. It's kind of like I don't know, the cure, right, for hangover. You should get one of those, Richard. You should get one of those.
I took Miranda. So when we were before we had decided to move to Vegas. When we were here last October for that mastermind, Miranda, she tied it on pretty good one night.
Yeah.
And she got up the next morning and she was like, oh, and so I was like, just go to the IV place. So I called, booked her an appointment. I dropped her off there. It was like taking the car in for a tune-up, you know? I was like, here, I'm leaving my wife with you. And anyway, she came out and man, she felt so much better. Like she was an entirely different person. She was like, I've never been around people so nice to me when I've been hungover. She's like, they were coming in, they'd be like, is the light too bright, honey? How we doing? And like, just checking on her.
How's our special friend?
Yeah. I was
That's
like,
funny.
Man, whenever I was hungover, all she did was just yell at me.
Yeah, Richard, you're supposed to be hungover tonight, not today. Actually, he's in New Zealand, so he might have an excuse for that.
I don't know. That's all right. We're gonna get through it. The show will help you get past it, Richie. The show will help you get past it. Happy birthday, by the way, Richard. I know we were wishing a happy birthday in the remote millionaires community, but Richard had a birthday, which probably explains the hangover, right? Tend to lose a few days when it's your birthday. But happy birthday. Congratulations. We're excited you're here. Yeah, we have an awesome show lined up today. We're going to be talking about how to grow your business when you're broke. Like, what do you do? What do you focus on? We're also going to drop some resources on this call. You know, I know like we just did a product launch, right? I know a lot of people on here picked that up. We had some webinars, some other things, and you're probably looking around like, oh, wow, there's all these things to buy. But maybe you're in a position like we were in early on where you don't have the budget to buy those things. And what do? Well, here at Offline Sharks, we got you covered. We have a lot of free resources and training and things that we put out on a regular basis that you don't need to buy anything to use and have access to and all that stuff. So we're going to talk about some of that stuff. We'll take your questions as well about local marketing. So feel free to pop those in there. And I don't know, Nick, anything you want to say before we jump into the shout outs?
I was just going to say that, the topic about how to grow your business when you're broke, I think we're both experts at that. I would classify us as experts. Is anybody else an expert in that? Is anybody actually, are you broke or is your business growing? Which one are you?
I would like to point out too, when we talk about this, that, one of the amazing things about the knowledge that we acquire being a part of groups like Offline Sharks and different things like that. And we use the word broke very specifically, right? Because there is a huge difference between broke and poor. So broke is a temporary state, right? You can, there are times when maybe you're up and times when you're down, right? Like you can be broke and not be poor. Poor is more of a permanent state, right? And what we don't want to be is poor. So, highly successful people, when you read their stories, you'll discover like all of them have all been broke at one point or another, right? Mm-hmm. Or not had significant cash reserves or cash flow or things like that. But the thing they did have was, they had determination, they persevered, they had an idea, they were open to new ways of looking at things, right? They're typically constantly working on improving themselves so that they get better, whether that's, in a professional capacity, whether that's just becoming a generally better human being, whether that's working on their relationship to money and finances and things like that. Something, that we don't really talk about a lot here, but if you're in a situation where maybe you're not generating the income, the revenue you want, like it's a good idea to be working on your kind of relationship with money, how, your thoughts on it, your feelings behind it. Like a lot of times we don't realize how we're holding ourselves back, right? How we're holding ourselves back. And an example that I use from my own personal experience is, when I was using a lot of pirated software, right? Like, cause I didn't have the money. So I'm using all this pirated software. And one day I was like, I had been spending some time looking at kind of like how I thought about money, my relationship to money. And I just came to this realization of like, man, how do I expect to get good customers for my business if I'm not a good customer to other people's businesses, right? And like using pirated software and those types of things, that's not being a good customer. That's not being a good consumer, right? Like, how can I expect people to be a good consumer to me if I'm not a good consumer to other people? So I changed all that, right? Not really sure how I got off. How did I get off on this tangent, Nick? I didn't mean to sidewalk, but anyway, so that's one thing that you might want to take a look at as well. And then we're going to talk about some resources and some things you can use to help you break out and still grow your business.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. It actually reminds me of last night. I went to a networking event, and I'm in New York, right? You guys all know that. Somebody was just razzing me about having my second coffee of the day. Actually, maybe it was my third or fourth. But I like to have the mid-afternoon coffee with the Sharks live show, right? And anyway, I went out last night to try to network, try to make some friends, meet some professionals, and I've been meeting some pretty, talented, interesting, smart people, which has been really awesome. Last night I went to a networking event, it was like somebody invited me to an event, And because I'm saying yes more often than I usually do, just because I'm in a new place, after I had already said yes, I started thinking about it, and I'm like, am I about to get MLM'd right now? Am I like last time I walked into a networking event, I walked right out. Like I left. I immediately left. As soon as I knew what was going on, I like looked around the room and I'm like, nope, this is not me. I'm out here. It turns out it wasn't that. It was actually really cool. It was a really cool, like little speaker type meeting where an entrepreneur was up on the stage sharing their experience, and it was a little networking, Q&A section after that. But one thing that she stood out that I'm going to tie into what you just said, Tom, that really made a lot of sense for me too, is we don't attract what we're looking for. And that can be in business, that can be in relationships, that can be with material stuff. We attract what we are. So if you are, doing stuff like stealing software, pirated software like Tom, you're probably not going to, that's what you're attracting, right? If you are if you are right now a hungry entrepreneur that is, trying to sharpen your skills and learn and grow and build your business, and you put yourself out there, chances are you probably will find other people in that same category, right? If you are pessimistic and you think nothing's ever going to work and you just keep hitting these roadblocks and, failure is the only option, chances are you're probably going to be met with that on the road in front of you. And I subscribe to that. I think that's real. I don't know if everybody can, but at least it made sense to me. And I felt the same way. When I started to actually really put in a full effort and gave it like everything, it really started to reveal itself to me. What was the next clear step to take on how to actually materialize some success. And Tom and I and the rest of our team, we've been talking about this a lot lately because it's what we've been seeing in the world and in the market. And for everybody that said that they are broke, and I know not even really that many people said that. I think like one person might have said that, and it might have even been a joke. But it is actually never been a better time to be more broke. And the reason that I say that is, hear me out, is because right now, the barrier to entry to build an incredible business is so low, lower than it's ever been ever before. And it's because you have access to all of this information. You have access to a community like the one you're in right now, like you're here with us right now. And that information wasn't always around, and the world wasn't in a place like it is right now. And what we've been talking about is how receptive the world is of people that are now working remotely from home. Facebook just put in an order of like optional. It's totally optional if you want to do in-person working. You can work remotely for the rest of your life as you work for Facebook, right? And that's just one example of, big companies that see the value in people working remotely. So if you're one of those people that wants to start a business, or a lot of you already have a business, you already have some clients, the way that you can get skills and acquire skills and information and take those skills and turn them into something that's marketable, which you can make money out of or with right now. There's just never been a better time than right now to do that. I mean, you have all that opportunity, and, there's a huge argument for how profitable the skills that we talk about here really are.
Yeah. Well, they're super profitable, right? And still, offering a service is still one of the fastest ways to generate revenue out there, right? Like
Absolutely.
when you have a service, a skill that you can bring to the marketplace, like it's just a really fast way to get some cash flow going. Now, I personally, I have some views about what I want to do, the type of income I want to create, and all those things. But for me, like it all started with the service. It all started with offering a service, because again, that was the fastest way to get from zero to some cash in my hands, right? Like I tried a lot of stuff. It didn't work as well. Like once I was able to do that, get some traction with that, obviously, like, I want to do things that scale. I want to do things that don't require me to be there all the time. Like, that's a lot of the reason why, Offline Sharks is around, some of those things. Because, I have other goals besides that, but the service business is still one of the fastest ways to build up and to get to where you want to go, right? Like I couldn't do the things I do today if I didn't do that in the beginning, if that makes sense. So, you may not stay in that realm forever. Like obviously our goal, right, is to, do these things and then, build a business where that stuff runs and you don't have to do them all the time, like we have with our agency. So, it's very doable, and you don't need to your point, Nick, you don't need to spend a bunch of money to get a client. In fact, I mean, you don't need to spend any money to get a client, right? Like you can go around and start talking to people and telling people what you're doing and going to networking events like you were doing, or reaching out to people on, so like there's no real cost associated with that. I think a lot of times we handicap ourselves when we start thinking like everything that we do in the beginning has to be scalable. And I don't think that's the case. Like, in fact, I think you probably have more success if you stop worrying about that. Like, don't worry about what's scalable and what's not scalable. Just focus on getting a client and getting that check, right? Like getting the first cash flow thing. And the best way to do that is to genuinely want to help people and genuinely have a way that you can help them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
Yeah. All right. Let's do some shark shout outs. Because we're talking about this. Like we're talking about like getting the clients, right? Like getting some checks, getting some cash flow. Are there sharks out there doing it? Well, of course, yes, there are. Yes, there are. And hold on, let me find that.
My very first client, I didn't buy a single thing, right? I didn't buy a single thing at that point. I didn't even know what I was doing. And it really just came about finding somebody that had a problem and giving them a solution. And my solution was a horrible one. It was I could probably figure out how to do that for you. That was my solution. And everybody on this live stream right now has the ability to give out that solution. And yeah, I think like I said, it's marketable skills. We're marketers, and just learning how to market gives you a marketable skill. And finding those problems for people and presenting them to them in a way that they will pay you, reward you for helping them with. I mean, here we go. We have a huge testament to that right here.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting that you mentioned being a marketer, because I'm always amazed at how many people say they're marketers, but then complain about being marketed to. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and that's what I mean by being looking at your relationship to things and what's going on. Because if your goal is to go out there and be a marketer for someone, and that's what you're going to do, like, it's probably not a good idea to be like not happy with getting marketed. Like, you should at least I know when people market to me, and I know you feel the same way too, Nick, like we're curious about what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Right. Like, I mean, we don't rush to buy everything, but like, we're curious, like, well, how are they doing that? And how are they looking at that? And who's the person they're targeting? And how did we end up in this audience? And, oh, wow, look at that. I mean, their messaging is on point because I am exactly that person, right? Like, being curious, studying that stuff, doing those things, figuring out like, I see what they're doing there. I mean, that's been a big help to us over the years. So yeah, if you're one of those marketers out there that's like gets irritated when people market to you, stop it. Like, get curious, start looking at what they're doing and how are they doing that and why are they doing that and all those things. It'll help you not only with your own business, but also with your clients. So, all right, let's do some shark shout outs here, Nick.
Let's do it.
So first shark shout out goes to John Uzo. He closed a $2,500 deal for a website design, mobile app development, SEO, newsletter management, social media, and marketing. SEO, newsletter, and social are residual at $500 a month. John, that's
awesome. Nicely done.
Yeah, very nicely done. Our next shout out goes to Oliver Leka. He secured a 300 euros a year hosting maintenance pack for a free 4-page website he closed using the free strategy from Website Client System. What? Awesome work.
That program works?
Surprise, right? Surprise,
hold on. Hold the phone. Let's look at that for a second. So he secured a $300 per year. So residual, $300, not
300
not
euros, 300 euros.
but not a massive amount of money, a little win, just like you were talking about, right, Tom? Let's bring it back to that real quick. You got to have your bread and butter, right? A lot of us see people doing things out there, and a lot of the marketing that we see the hype. We get attached to the hype, the end result where somebody has massive amounts of customers and traffic, and it affects their life in these astronomical ways. But that's the hype, right? Like, let's come back to reality for a second. Talk about all the things that it took for that person to get to that point. And it really comes down to the base hits and the bread and butter, having a bread and butter, whether that's bringing people in at a $300 website. And then look at John, the shout out that you mentioned right before that, transitioning a website deal into a monthly residual service. Like, the first bullet point is close the website deal. The second bullet point is monthly service. He brought them in on a website and sold them a monthly residual service. You just keep doing that. Keep hitting those base hits with your bread and butter, and that's how it all adds up. And I actually wanted to say this earlier, Tom, because it would be so helpful for me in my shoes back in the day, and I know for you too. Anybody being here, hearing this, just reminding them that this business model, this opportunity to build a digital agency, to go out there and get clients and have this really successful business is a real opportunity. Like, it really does exist, and everybody here can have that. You don't have to be somebody that has some, extreme technical talent to go out there and do this. And I just want to remind everybody that it's real, because I know sometimes when you've never gotten a client before and you've tried 3 or 4 or 5 different things, it might knock you off the horse, right? You might be wondering, like, man, is this real, or how is this going to work for me? But the opportunity is very real. And I hope that you can trust in Tom, myself, and all these shout outs that you see here, just that this is a real industry, and you can totally do it for yourself.
Yeah. And I mean, just look at what Oliver did, right? Like, Oliver just said, hey, look, I'm willing to give something away for free. Right. So he gave away a free website. He said, all you have to do is pay me 300 euros a year for maintenance. And they were like, done. Like, pretty straightforward deal, right? Pretty straightforward deal. So good job. Our third shout out goes to Jacqueline Heath. She sold a new website to an existing client for 400 pounds. That's $550 US. And she sold an old client on an update of a website for 400 pounds, which is $550 US. So look, there's, again, what is that? $1,100 in business, right? I mean, that's crazy. Base hits. Awesome work. And then our final shout out goes to Michael Howard. Sold a new website in record time. 30-second sales pitch. 30 seconds to deliver a frame website. A frame website, that's basically just the bones with some default content. So just some demo content. But congratulations, Michael.
Wow.
Awesome work.
Wow. Everybody had a website deal this week.
There are lots of websites. But, if you look through everything that we do here, people have all kinds of different services. Again, it's not about the service, right? It's not about the service you're offering. It's about getting out there, making the offers, talking to people, finding out what they need, all that kind of stuff. And today, those Shark shoutouts, that's a combined of $4,449 based on what people shared. Nice. So awesome work.
Man, 4,000. Yeah, that's a nice chunk of change. Congratulations, everybody. Look, Tom, Jacqueline says it was only when she became a shark that she learned how to approach prospective clients and how often that she would get turned down before having success. Before that, she thought she was doing things wrong. And this is the key point. Small wins build your skills and confidence. And I can't tell you how true that is. Those small wins, doesn't really matter how big they are, just a win. A win will really, really help you. It really will. That's so true. Yeah, well, and that's why it's so important. Like, we talk about this all the time, right? Like, that's why it's so important just to get activity going in the beginning. Like, a lot of, and I say the beginning, right? Like, the goal isn't to have to do that your entire career or the entire life of your business. But in the beginning, when you're trying to get this thing in motion, you have to do a lot of extra things. You have to be more involved in stuff because you're trying to get this thing that's
that's not moving at all, just going in somewhat of a direction, right? So it requires you to be a little more involved, right? And when I say like really wanting to help people, that's what I mean. Like, when you go to a potential client and you're like, look, tell me what you're doing. Show me what you got. Let me see if I can help you. And you're really interested in helping them, not so much about how much you're going to get paid, but like, can I really help them? And can I use them as a testimonial in the beginning? Like that thought process, that way of doing things is a little more important because you're just trying to get this thing going, right? And it was interesting. I was reading an article this past week all about how like the people that founded Stripe, the people that founded Airbnb, 2 big tech startups, right? Those guys were out boots on the ground, physically signing up users in the beginning. Like that's what they did. Like,
yeah.
And that really like, I was like, yeah, because like that's the way you start and grow a business, right? Like even a huge startup like Stripe, those people had to just talk to another business and say, hey, try our platform, right? Like they didn't have some big, they weren't running a bunch of like, of course they did all those things, right? And now they're scaling on a level where they probably don't do that anymore. But in the beginning, they were just trying to get those first, it was the first 10 users, then the first 20 users, then the first 100, right? So same thing with an agency, right? In the beginning, you may need to do more just to get those first 5 customers, those first 3, but just focus on getting those first 3. That's why we get so frustrated when people say, well, what do you do when you have 100 customers? Like, well, let's get 3 customers first. Then let's worry about what's going to happen when we get 100, right?
Or even one.
Or even one. Let's just get 1 first. Let's get 1, see how that goes. Then we can start stressing out about how we're going to scale this up to hundreds of clients, right? So,
what's interesting too, Tom, is I see a lot of people that like, that they start this as kind of their side hustle or whatever, right? Or they're trying to leave a job market and enter this one. And they spend maybe a couple hours, maybe a couple hours a day here and there, maybe not even every day. And they expect it to turn into this massive thing. And I think that if you put a fraction of what you would normally put into a regular, like a jobby job, you would see a lot more success a lot faster. Because, when I was getting started, I actually spent a lot of time, not just learning how to get customers, but just learning how to use the internet. I was not like a successful internet user when I got started. And that might shock some of you, but I wasn't like, I didn't have the skill set. I to be completely honest with you, I was confused like about a lot of things between Google and Apple and Amazon and how they cross-reference each other and all this stuff. And a lot of time that I spent was like reading how things worked, what these businesses are, what the technology does. And you have to learn these skill sets, right? And I think a lot of people, they get, sold in this idea that things happen overnight, and they can. I'm not saying they can't, but really, like if you just spent a little bit more time learning, like you would at like a normal job, like it would take you in school. I mean, people spend 5 years to get a degree. People spend 2 years to get a degree. My degree in what I did in digital marketing did not even take a month. It didn't even take that long, but I had to invest the time to do it. And so I think a lot of people get, they struggle, they lose their momentum, which is what you were talking about.
Yeah, I know. Well, when I was trying to originally get my business going off the ground and I was working a job and trying to do it on the side, like I could see that in my actions, right? Like, because I wasn't late for work. I was never late for work because that was my job. Like that was where the money came in. That was putting food on the table, right? But I was always like, oh, I'm going to prospect for an hour tomorrow. And then I'd be like, you know what? I don't feel like doing it today. I think I'd rather go to do this. And there's this show and I'll go watch that show. Like I was constantly like reshuffling, not like sticking to like, my job. Like, yeah, I had to be there. Like, that's when I'm supposed to be there. Like, but I didn't treat my side hustle that way.
Tomorrow's always a better day to prospect, everybody.
Yeah. Well, and it wasn't until I started treating the side hustle like my job, which is that seems like such a contradiction, right? Like I want to be an entrepreneur, so I don't have a job, so I don't have to deal with all that stuff. But it's like, oh, well, I can't really have any success until I start treating it like a job. Like it seems it seems like a contradiction, but it's not. It's not a contradiction, right? Like you just have to adjust your thinking that way and realize like, okay, this is the, it's hard when you don't see the immediate returns, right? But yeah. Awesome. There was something else I was going to, I know what we need to do, Nick. So one thing we forgot to do was we didn't tell people to go to the offlinesharks.com/shout outs and leave a way to go there for those people. Congratulations. At the end of the stream, we'll pick out some winners. We'll give some cash out money. So go to offlinesharks.com, shout outs, do that. But one thing we wanted to do in this episode was to highlight some of the free resources and different things we have at Offline Sharks for you out there to help you continue to move forward without spending any money, right? Without spending any money. So we have some links here and we want to do a couple things. So I'm gonna start posting some links in the chat. Okay. I'm not going to put them on the screen. Well, should we put them on the screen too, Nick? Or should we just put them in the chat?
Wait, who wants some free links? Maybe we should ask.
Oh yeah, we don't have to. I don't have to post them, I guess.
No. I mean, who wants? I mean, what do you guys think? Would you guys like some a cheat sheet? Do we have that? Do we have a cheat sheet? Is that what we have?
We have something to give them at the end. We don't have a cheat sheet.
Okay.
We've got some individual links to some things we're going to talk about.
Okay. Yeah. I'm
gonna pop them. I'm gonna pop them in the comments.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Look, Bruce has a quote for me that I thought was good. When you're trying to start something, the thing you have to fight against is overthinking everything. Bruce, I would adjust that to say the thing I have to fight against is myself. I get in my own way with damn near everything in life.
Well, I found that's really
Kevin forever.
That's really the person that I've been like, that's the biggest obstacle, right? I used to think the biggest obstacle was because I didn't have any business experience. I didn't know a lot of business. Like those weren't the biggest obstacles. The biggest obstacle was myself. Like I am the biggest obstacle in everything I do. What's that Brian Kurtz always says? I'm the #1 sales killer in my company. He always talks about that out. He's like, I will talk anybody out of buying something from me.
That's funny. I could see him being that guy too. He's He's like, I'll talk anybody out of it. Anyway. Okay. So I'm going to put this, here's our first link. So our first link is offlinesharks.com/starter. I put it in the comments as well. So as most of you know, we have a monthly membership called the Shark Alliance. And we have a couple of different levels of it. We've got an elite level that comes with a whole bunch of stuff, access to products we put out, all kinds of amazing things. We have a plus level, which is a program we call the Path to Six Figures, which is an entire blueprint of, A to the N for building an agency from 0 to 100K a year. But we also have a free version of the Shark Alliance that has a ton of fantastic content to get you set up to move in the right direction. It's got a section called the Profit First Foundation where we talk about profit first and mindset and getting things set up. And there's a ton of actionable, really good content in there that you could use. So if you're looking for a place to start, you might want to go sign up for the free Shark Alliance area, the trainings that are in there. There's, I forget, 5 or 6 things in there, but they're all really good. You'll definitely find them valuable. So even if you're not a member, if you're not a member of the pay program, you don't have to be. You can get some training right there inside the Offline Sharks. Yeah. For anybody that is new, maybe you could run them through the strategy behind the Profit First. Yeah.
So look, the Profit First Foundation is something that we talk about in a lot of various forms at Offline Sharks. And what that means is this is where like revenue producing activity, all that stuff comes in, right? Where we focus on cash flow first. Like what are the minimum viable things we need to go out and start getting a client so that we can focus on talking to potential prospects and turning them into a a paying client, right? And a lot of times that has nothing to do with, buying new software, is doing anything like that. It's like, it's picking a service. It's figuring out what businesses we want to go talk to. It's about reaching out to businesses that maybe we frequent businesses in our area. Like there's lots of little things in there that you can do that are going to seem like they're not sexy, right? They don't really seem sexy. They may seem like a small scale, but they will help you get those first clients. So when we talk about the Profit First Foundation, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about, okay, how do we, what's the fastest way to a check in our hands from where we're at now? That's what we want to focus on. All the other stuff we can kind of put aside.
Mm-hmm.
And then we use that money, right, to do fulfillment and other things like that.
Yeah, that's the key. That's the key piece of it to me, is like the shift in, once you have some cash in hand, you now have the opportunity to make some stuff happen, and you can use that money to make some stuff happen. The way our businesses run, if I could pull back the curtain and just, show you the inner workings, is we collect the money from clients. It doesn't really matter what job it is. It could be a website, it could be ads, it could be SEO, it could be reputation, whatever it is. We collect the money, and then we take a portion of that money to help us do the work. And then we keep the profit. So we take that profit first, bring it into the business, and then have some people get the work done. And, we offer a lot of services, both Tom and I can't tell you the last time I actually built a website. Tom, when's the last time you built a website?
Oh my God, it's been years.
But I can tell you, I built probably, I know for a fact that we got 2 new website jobs earlier this week, and I've built, right? Air quotes. I've built many websites this month, but I didn't do it, right? I had somebody else who I hired to help me do that. And we do this again with all the stuff that we offer. So you don't really have to be an expert, like a complete expert. You just need to know enough to be able to be dangerous. Who is that kind of person? Raise your hand. Raise your hand in the chat.
Not to be dangerous. That's great.
Yeah. If you're the type of person that, like, maybe you're not like an expert at website design or graphic design, but you know how to open Photoshop, and you can, maybe select some layers and, resize some things, just enough to be dangerous. Kristen says so dangerous. Somebody says, yeah. I am.
Wait, well, so Nick, do you remember? I used to really complain when I first met Nick. I used to always complain about building websites, right? Like, because I hated it. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. I get so frustrated. I remember the first time that we built a website using outsourcers, and I was like, oh my God, like, this is so easy. Like, like there was nothing to complain about because I wasn't dealing with the issues, right? Like, eye-opening experience.
But the caveat to that is you have to know just enough to be dangerous in order to outsource, in order to make that system fall into place for you. And if you're that type of person where you can figure out and spend just enough time to learn just enough to be dangerous, then you can make this work. And I know for a fact that all of you here can know just that much. And if you have one specific sector of this business, it could be the sales, it could be the prospecting, it could be the website design. If you have one specific sector that you really like and are passionate about more than the others, then let that be your thing, and then bring in people and software to help you do all the other things. And that's what I would highly recommend you do, because when you wake up in the morning, you will feel much more energized to do things throughout your day and do the things that you're like and you're creative, and all the other stuff you just have people help you with.
Yeah. And by the way, we're not telling you to go out and represent yourself as something you're not. We're not saying to go out there and say, all this stuff about SEO. Like, the way we did it with our first clients was like, look, I'm still learning how to build a website, but here's what I will tell you. You're not going to find anyone else who's going to work as hard to build a good looking site for you at this price. Like, you have an advantage right now because I'm learning. Like, it's not going to stay this way forever. So might as well take advantage of it. Let me work to do a good job for you. Those types of things. So we're not asking, you're not out there trying to act like you're a big agency or anything like that. Like, we're being honest and upfront with people, but that approach we found works way better than trying to make people think you're a big agency when you have 0 clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we have a lot of links to get through, so we gotta pick at the pace here, Nick. We gotta pick at the pace. I'm gonna show you guys something. So one of the things that we've kind of had going on for a while for some of our paid members was a thing called Shark Bites. It's a newsletter. We send it out every month. Recently, we thought, we wanted to bring that to everybody. So we reshuffled some things, and now Shark Bites is available to everyone in the community for free. So every Sunday, you'll get an email. It replaces the weekly recap email. You'll get an email for Shark Bites, and there's a link in there. You can actually go to this link right now to see the current issue of Shark Bites. And so look, I'm going to show you. I'm going to share this. So every week, the new Shark Bites will be here. And let me just kind of show you what it is so you guys can see. So here we go.
Tom Dorn said that Shark Bites needs a crossword and a Sudoku.
Sudoku. Oh, my machine's moving really slow. Hold on. So here's issue number 110. So when you go to that link, right, and you go to this is what you'll see every week. So we're going to talk about things that we've been talking about in the emails. There's also going to be like links for things that we're looking at in the week, links to content you're going to find useful, all that kind of stuff as well. Links to the podcast, the YouTube channel, which we'll talk about too. So there's a lot of resources and things that will be in here too. It's not just things for sale. Like, yeah, there will be links for offers and things we're talking about, but that's not the goal of it, right? The goal of it is to really bring you things that we've come across through the week, through what's going on in the agency that will help you. So Shark Bites, another really great free resource, and now free to everybody.
Yeah, I'm stoked that we started doing that. And somebody, I think Jacqueline made a mention too, where we have our member of the week, or not our member of the week, team member, our team member of the month. And this month it was Cameron, who is our operations manager at Offline Sharks. And yeah, so that's a cool way to connect more with our team. I don't know if you guys know this, but we have a pretty big operation running behind the scenes at Offline Sharks. And some of you have been with us for a while, and you know that because you've spoken with probably a dozen people, right? A lot. And Cameron is definitely one of them, more behind the scenes, making a lot of stuff happen. So yeah, if you ever speak with him, give him a big shout out.
Okay, so here, I'm gonna copy this other link here. So these other things are things that have been around that maybe you're just not aware of that you can see every week. So I'm gonna go kind of rapid fire through these. I'm posting some of them in the chat, but we have a blog. Did you guys know that we have a blog on our website that we write posts for every month? Every month we add at offlinesharks.com/blog. There's all kinds of content there, things about SEO, just a lot of good articles that I don't think get enough traction. So go there, check out the blog. You might find the answer to a question you have. Or if there's something that you want to see us write about on the blog, that would be really good too. Sometimes we talk about things like, I think we had an article on citations, like the difference between citations and links. So you can find a lot of good stuff there. So you go to offlinesharks.com/blog. And again, we add, I think, what is it? You do an article and I do an article each month, right? So 2 new articles a month there at the blog. So that's another free resource, right? Another free resource.
And actually the blog, I think people sleep on that because a lot of people, look, Bruce says, yes, the blog, he thought about pirating them and passing them along. He didn't want to be a pirate. That's appreciate that, Bruce. Yeah, I think a lot of people sleep on the blog because I think you all know that we're like SEO people, and people think that it's like SEO content, right? But if you actually go to our blog and look and you check out one of the articles there, I think you would be surprised at how thought out and how much information each article really is. There's a lot of time really spent in the information that we put there. So it's actually a great resource. Has anybody here read our blog before and gotten any good value out of it? If you have, please let us know in the comments just so other people will go check that out, because I mean, it is a valuable resource, and I think people, overlook it. Yeah, a lot of tools. Like here, let me explain the blog a little bit more. The blog is a written form of where we get to vent, right? On tools that we use, strategies that we're seeing work. Honestly, if you're curious about like the foot in the door strategies that we're testing, a great place to kind of like see what we're doing is at the blog. You will see information there happening first, and you will see that information turn into a foot in the door strategy. And it's because when we're researching, when we're testing, we're talking about the things within our organization. A lot of it starts out by research and studying. So that's a great place to get started too. And it's free. It's free. What's the link again?
You just go to offlinesharks.com blog. Well, let me go to the banners here.
The chat box just turned into like a bunch of pirates for some reason. A bunch of ARGs and
they were talking about Bruce pirating those. Okay, so there's the blog, and I'm dropping these links in the chat as well. So another great place, Nick's YouTube channel. So Nick has a ton of fantastic videos there. So Nick's YouTube channel, and another place you can go as well.
And I've got
what's your video this week?
So I have a calendar mapped out. I spent a lot of time yesterday. I'm going to actually be publishing more starting this coming week. So I have a video coming out on Sunday. I usually publish every Sunday, but I have some things that I want to teach, and I'm going to do sort of a mini series coming up over the next couple of weeks, starting this week. So if you like my videos, if you've seen my videos, if you got value out of them, I'm going to be taking people through this process of just showing more of the inner working of the business. I know a lot of you that are in our like higher level paid memberships, you see some of this stuff. I'm going to show a little bit more of it to everybody and jump back into the YouTube game, because I had a little break when I first moved to New York because I had some other things I needed to work on, but I'm excited to jump back in at it. Thanks, Dorn. I appreciate you going to the videos, leaving me, comments and feedback. I always really appreciate that.
Yeah, those videos are great. And it's a really great way to be able to get a look in kind of what we have going on, right? Cool. All right. So another resource. So I have a podcast going on at tomgaddis.com, right? It's called What's the Secret? I saw somebody asking me what the secret was.
What is
I'm not telling just yet. It'll be I'll reveal it on the last episode. So you just have to keep listening until we get to the end. But yeah, so I talk a lot about, sometimes it's not a lot about local marketing, but we do talk a lot about entrepreneurship, business, growing a business, building things. I have a lot of guests on the podcast as well. In fact, this last week, I just had Susie Carter on as a guest, and Susie has built 10 businesses to over $10 million. She has a book called Power Up Your Profit. Anyway, she's a firecracker. It was an awesome interview talking to her. She was really great. Next week, Dorn's wife, Lucy, I did an interview on high ticket sales with Lucy. So we're going to talk about that. Episode goes live next week. The week after that, I have some special guests that are all about referrals and how to maximize referrals and things like that. So a lot of good interviews coming out over the next few weeks with various experts and things. So you can check all that out at tomgaddis.com. Good compliment to Nick's videos. Good compliment.
Yeah, they really are. For those of you that, you're like an audio person too, download the podcast. I like to listen to them while I'm like washing dishes, doing all that synchronous stuff, where you can't see something, but you can hear. I'm the kind of person where like I always have to be doing something. I always have to be doing more than one thing. I'll be like watching TV while listening to a podcast and looking at my phone.
Oh, that's great. The secret is the milk. That's awesome. Yeah. And the episodes are all super short. So they're only like 15, 20 minutes. So yeah, really quick listens. Okay. All right. Our next resource, and we piled on a lot of these. So this link, if you go to offlinesharks.com/recommended, it will take you to a page of our like recommended tools and services. If you want to these are all things we actually use in our businesses, right? So if you want to see like, what do we use to power everything that goes on here at Offline Sharks and the agency, all that stuff, go to offlinesharks.com/recommended. You can see those little blurbs about them as well, right? Let's see. And then we do have by the way, we do have a bonus that's only going to be available to people on the live. So stick around. We're going to get to that as well. Let me do this last. I should have made these before we started, but what the heck? All right. Here in a minute, we're going to do the bonus, but here's our last link for now. So this one is hide it. For a while on the live show, we recommended a book every week. So they were entrepreneur books, business books, mindset books. You can find all of the recommendations at offlinesharks.com/books. So if you want to go see what we're reading, try to find something good, maybe I'll spark you. I know it's not necessarily free because you got to buy the book, but there's a lot of really great recommendations there. And if you're stuck for something to read, picking anything on that page, all of them are super, super good. So you can go check those out. Okay, Nick, that was all of the resource links. We do have a bonus that we're going to give to people that were on the live show. It's an SEO bonus. So it's our exact proposal template plus an on-page outsourcing cheat sheet. So this is a bonus that we had the team put together. I don't think it's available anywhere else. So we're going to give that bonus out in a minute. But before we do that, we should give away some Cash App money.
Yes. I was waiting for this.
Yeah. Hold on. Let's play our song.
Okay.
Only because what?
No. Play the song.
Okay. Here we go.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money.
Dollar. Ching, bling, bling, cut the chatter. You ain't talking money, then you're talking no matter.
Kevin,
There it is. We ain't talking money, you're talking no matter.
So the reason that I'm excited for this is because Tom has a great Cash App question.
Oh, you want to do that one? Okay, so
yes, yeah. I think we should. I think it's a good one.
All right, okay.
It's a very good one. Set the stage, though. Set the stage. Do it.
I will
right.
set this. So we had every Friday, on Mondays and Fridays, we have team huddles. So we always have the team together. We talk about various things, what's going on in the business, just stuff like that. Today we were talking about some things, and we started talking about the word migration. Okay, we were talking about migration, and
like websites.
What's that?
Like websites.
Yeah, like website migration. So we're talking about migrations. And then I got on this thing about how I always see these ducks and geese here in Vegas flying. And I don't know if you guys see ducks and geese fly, but they always fly in a V, right? So this is how quickly our team huddles can deteriorate, all right? Because now we're talking about geese. They always fly in a V. And the observation that I made to the team is that one side of the V is always longer than the other. Like if you've ever seen duck or geese migrate and fly, they do it in a V, but one side is always longer than the other. And my question to the team was, why? Why is that? Why is one side always longer than the other? So we'll see if anybody can answer that question.
First person that gets it right, win some Cash App money.
Oh, I think somebody already got it.
What? No way.
Yeah.
No way.
I see Ed Shepard.
No way, Ed.
Ed Shepard. I'm gonna put the answer up. The reason, like windage. What is windage?
Right,
I love that.
Single file focus, aerodynamics.
Yeah, aerodynamics. Yeah. No, Ed got it right. Where did it go? Where did his thing go?
Aerodynamics, flying in formation. Janice, did she notice that the other day?
It's true. It is.
Randy,
it was what happened.
Randy, I knew you would know that joke. Randy would.
By the way,
know that
Nick
joke.
did not know the answer.
I did not know the answer, but
Nick did not know the answer. But the answer is the reason one side is always longer than the other is because there's more birds on that side. Duh.
So basically, if you have kids and you're a dad, you knew the answer to that joke.
Nick thought that was so great. He's like, we're going to do that on the show. So Ed Shepard, we got some Cash App money coming your way, my friend. So pop in your Cash App tag with the team reach out to you. We'll get you sorted there. Also, Nick, before we give away the bonus, we need to pick the people from the shout out tabs. Let's do that.
Yes, we have 2 other winners that we're going to give money to just for hanging out on the live show. For those of you that just joined now, next week on our Aloha Friday Marketing Jam session, if you want to be a winner or be selected to be a winner, you just have to show up at the beginning of the show and help congratulate all of our sharks that have shared about their wins in the group over the last week. So the 2 winners are Dave Rodhams and Doug Page.
Nice.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Doug and Dave.
All right.
They love the joke. They love the dad joke.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a riddle. It's kind of a riddle, kind of a joke.
Yeah.
But, I was really I never got to use that joke on Maui because there's never any ducks or geese flying there. And one of the very first things.
There are some geese. It's fun.
I never really saw that many.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll be out surfing and it'll be like kind of like sunset. All of a sudden, this duck will come flying by, and I'm like,
where's it coming from?
Freaking duck. Where the hell did that guy come from?
Yeah. Well, the joke works a lot better if you can actually see some and then bring it up because people are like, really? Why?
No flying V. There's been no flying V, that's for sure.
But it is true. One side is always longer. So we did have another bonus we wanted to give to everybody who showed up on the live. So I'm going to pop this link up on the screen. So we appreciate you coming every Friday. We appreciate you hanging out. If you go to offlinesharks.com/live show SEO, you'll get a free, it's, hold on, what did I say it was again? Okay, it's our exact proposal template for SEO plus an on-page outsourcing cheat sheet. So there's nothing to buy. You don't have to put in your email or anything. You just go to offlinesharks.com/live show SEO. A little bonus from us to you, a resource that you can use if you're doing SEO or you plan on offering it.
Hopefully after this live show, you can't say we never did nothing for you.
Never did nothing for you, huh?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me make this scrolling so it's better. Hold on, let me put this on here. Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, you go there, you can download the free bonus. We really hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you get some value out of it. We really do appreciate you guys being sharks. I mean, you're the reason that makes this show, this community, everything so great. So thanks again for being a shark. Hope you enjoy all the free bonuses and resources that we laid out in this episode. Remember, you don't need a bunch of money to grow your business. You just need to be willing to take some action and maybe do some things that make you uncomfortable in the beginning, but you'll get better at them as you continue to do them. So thanks for hanging out with us today. We're going to see you next Friday, same time, same channel, and stay safe out there. Everybody practice aloha. Let me cue up the outro.
You've been listening to the Sharks Live Show, your weekly local marketing jam session. Every week, packed full of local marketing strategy, tactics, tips, and fun. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this stream. You can stay up to date throughout the week with Nick's YouTube videos at nickponte.com/YouTube and Tom's podcast at tomgaddis.com. We'll be back here next Friday for another Sharks Live Show. Until then, aloha.